You were told exactly what to do. Study hard, get good grades, go to college, find a job, and everything would make sense. That's what they promised. That's what everyone around you repeated like a mantra. It sounded safe, logical, even noble. So you followed it. You played the game. Maybe you were even good at it. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Because what they never told you is that this right path wasn't designed for you. It was designed for the system. The steps were already carved out before you were even old enough to ask if that destination was yours to begin with. You were trained to meet standards, not to discover meaning. If you enjoy this type of video, like and subscribe to the channel. You memorized equations but forgot how to feel. You learned how to pass exams but not how to process rejection, confusion, or loneliness. You mastered routines but lost connection with your instincts. And the worst part? You didn't notice it happening because the path looked like success. Now you're here. You've got the job, the degree, maybe even the apartment and the recognition. From the outside, it seems like you made it. But inside, it's quiet. And not the peaceful kind, the kind that feels hollow. A strange emptiness that whispers, "Is this it?" This isn't about being ungrateful. This is about waking up to a painful truth. You followed the map they gave you, but it never led to yourself. You did everything right, except asking whether it was right for you. And unless you stop and question that path, you'll keep walking it, blindly, quietly, slowly losing parts of yourself until there's nothing left but a version of you that fits in, but never really lived. You weren't educated. You were programmed. No one ever said that out loud, of course, but look closer. From the first day you entered school, the message was clear. Sit still, be quiet, follow instructions. It wasn't about curiosity. It was about compliance. It wasn't about understanding. It was about memorizing. They rang a bell to start your day. They rang another to end it. You sat in rows, spoke only when called on, and moved from one subject to the next, like a cog on an assembly line. That wasn't a coincidence. It was a design. School was never just about learning. It was about preparing you for a world where obedience is rewarded and deviation is punished. And it worked. You started raising your hand less. You stopped asking the weird questions. You learned to play it safe. Not because you lost your curiosity, but because you learned that curiosity made you a problem. That being too interested, too vocal, too different made adults uncomfortable. So you adapted. You learned to give them what they wanted. The right answers, the polished essays, the neatly filled bubbles. But something else was quietly happening. Your inner voice got quieter. Your creative impulses were labeled distractions. Your sense of wonder, the one you had when you were 5, when you asked why 1,000 times a day, slowly faded. Because school didn't reward that. School rewarded order, predictability, performance. You didn't just learn math or grammar. You learned how to suppress yourself to be acceptable. You learned to trade authenticity for approval. And now, as an adult, you still feel it. That pressure to do what's expected. That fear of standing out. That need to follow the rules, even if no one's enforcing them anymore. Because the system did its job. It didn't just shape what you know. It shaped who you think you're allowed to be. You can hold a degree in your hand and still feel completely lost in your soul. That's the cost no one talks about. Not the tuition, not the student loans. The real price you paid was internal. While you were collecting diplomas and ticking off achievements, something deeper was slowly being silenced. Your connection to yourself. Think about it. You were trained to wake up at a certain time, follow a schedule, hit deadlines, meet expectations, and you did it. You became efficient, reliable, responsible. But in the process, something essential was buried. Your capacity to just be. To sit in stillness, to wonder, to feel fully present in your own life. You were taught how to function in society, but not how to function within yourself. You can run meetings, reply to emails, manage projects, but when it gets quiet, when you're alone and the distractions fade, what's left? Anxiety, restlessness, disconnection. Because no one taught you how to explore your inner world. They taught you how to perform, not how to reflect. They trained you to solve problems, but never to sit with questions that don't have clear answers. Like, why do I feel so numb? Why does success feel like a costume? Why am I afraid of stopping? The system doesn't want you to pause, because stillness invites awareness, and awareness leads to questions, dangerous questions. Questions like, what if I built my life on someone else's definition of success? That's the invisible cost, not just the lost curiosity, but the loss of identity. You became what they needed you to be, but do you even remember who you wanted to be? If you don't stop and ask now, the world will keep using you for everything you can give and leave you empty when there's nothing left. You've been chasing a version of success that was never yours to begin with. Money, status, applause, a steady paycheck, and a shiny title. That's what they told you would make you feel fulfilled. And maybe for a while, it did. You hit the milestones, you collected the trophies. People told you you were doing great. But deep down, something didn't add up. Because success, the way they sold it to you, isn't designed to make you feel whole. It's designed to keep you performing. Performing for approval, performing for validation, performing for a system that measures your worth in output, not truth. You learn to pursue goals, but never pause to ask, do I even want this? You became so good at playing the role, you forgot you were acting. And the scariest part? The world rewards the performance. It throws praise at the version of you that stays productive, polite, professional. Meanwhile, your real self, the one with doubts, dreams, and depth, gets buried under the pressure to keep it together. You were never taught to define success on your own terms. You were just handed a script and told, if you follow this, you'll be happy. But what happens when you follow the script perfectly and still feel empty? Here's the truth. Real success doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like peace. It doesn't demand constant proof. It flows from alignment, when who you are, what you value, and how you live are finally in sync. And you'll never find that kind of success if you're still living to impress people who don't even know the real you. You weren't born to perform. You were born to express, to explore, to live. And until you start questioning the version of success you've been chasing, you'll keep achieving things that don't actually bring you home. It usually doesn't happen with a bang. It happens in the quiet, a breakup, a job loss, a burnout so deep you can't fake energy anymore. One day, you look around and everything seems fine, but inside, it's chaos. Something breaks, and in that crack, a terrifying question slips through. Whose life am I living? It hits you, not because you failed, but because you succeeded. You climbed the ladder, you reached the goal, and it still didn't make you feel alive. That's when the illusion starts to collapse, because you realize you were trained to win a game that never felt like yours. In school, they gave you answers. At work, they gave you targets. In life, they gave you a script. But no one ever taught you how to hear your own voice. No one taught you how to trust it. And now that voice is getting louder, not yelling, just whispering. Slow down. This isn't it. There's more. At first, you try to silence it, with noise, with goals, with scrolling. But eventually, you can't unhear it. Because deep down, you know, the system taught you how to respond to deadlines, not to heartbreak. It taught you how to build a resume, not a life. It trained you to adapt, but never to awaken. That's the moment of rupture, and it's terrifying. Because waking up means letting go of the old story, the roles, the rules, the rewards. It means staring at the blank page of your own potential and realizing you don't know what comes next. But in that uncertainty lives your chance to finally be real, to stop performing, to stop pleasing, to finally ask, who am I underneath it all? That question doesn't destroy you. It saves you. This isn't about throwing your life away. It's about taking it back. You don't need to move to a cabin in the woods or delete every app on your phone. You just need to stop living on autopilot, because the real prison isn't your job, your schedule, or your responsibilities. It's the belief that you don't have a choice. But you do, and it starts with a question. What if I stopped performing and started listening? Not to the noise around you, but to the quiet inside you. The version of you that's been waiting, buried under years of programming, pressure, and pretending. The part that still remembers how it felt to wonder, to play, to be fully you before the world told you who to become. You don't have to tear everything down. You just need to begin reclaiming one piece at a time. Start with your mornings or your evenings, or just 5 quiet minutes in the middle of the chaos. Ask yourself, what do I believe really? What do I want deeply? And why have I been afraid to admit it? This is how it begins, not with a revolution, but with a remembering. You unlearn the fear, you question the script, you rewrite the rules, and slowly, you stop defining success by how well you fit in, and start defining it by how fully you show up. You stop chasing goals that numb you, and start moving toward what makes you feel alive. The truth is, the system never meant to show you the way. It was only ever meant to train you to follow. But now you've seen it, the blueprint, the conditioning, the lie. And once you see it, you don't go back. You go inward, you go real, you go home. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.